Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is my full-time show. My initial reaction to Fulham's 2-1 victory against Tottenham Hotspur at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Fulham get it done. They finally win in this stadium. They have not won in many years. I want to say the last time they won was at White Hart Lane when Dimitar Berbatov was playing for Fulham and got the winning goal. So what a massive victory. This changes a lot for Fulham to beat a team like this that, again, I had a good feeling heading into this match that they could get it done, and they absolutely got it done. Marco Silva, his coaching staff, the players, everyone deserves a lot of credit for this victory. It's not about one person, but you have to have the right tactics, the right formation, the right players out there, the right substitutions. Marco Silva pulled all the right levers. Massive victory for Fulham Football Club against Spurs. I know all the talk is going to be about Spurs. I'm watching the broadcast from NBC Sports, and they are obviously focusing on what Tottenham did wrong. Instead, what they really should be focusing on what Fulham did right, because Fulham deserved this victory. They were by far the better team in the first half. They could have been up 4-0 in that first half. They had opportunities. Chukwueze hits the post. Chukwueze again had another opportunity. I mean, there were chances there for Fulham to be even further up. 2-0 was not good enough. Well, again, in the end, I guess you could say it is good enough because it got them the victory, but it could have been more. That's how good Fulham played. They were set up perfectly to stop this team from playing and be aggressive. And like I said, the game plan worked 100%. Marco Silva, I'll be talking about him in just a bit, but my initial reaction is this is just a fantastic victory, a well-earned victory. This is not about Tottenham Hotspur. This is about Fulham Football Club. Take that, Spurs. I've heard all of the talk about what they have, all the players that they have, and Fulham made them look ordinary. And I know how poor they are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I don't care about all that. This is a team that has more resources than Fulham do. They can buy players, many more players of a certain level than Fulham can. But Fulham have the right mix, and they got it done, and they wanted it more. You could see it in the first half. They weathered the storm in the second half, and you knew there would be a reaction from Tottenham Hotspur in the second half, and you got that. And for a period, you're like, okay, this looks like it screams 2-2. It really did. It screamed it. But for the players to see this out, to have the mentality to see the match out, they deserve a lot of credit. Everyone deserves a lot of credit. I was just hoping that I would see them win this match. I did a preview show with my friend Ben Lawrence, and Tony Gold and I talked about it. We thought that Tottenham were there for the taking, and guess what? We were all right. But it had to be set up right to give Fulham the platform to win this match. And that's why my first talking point, and I'll be talking about this in the post-match, goes to Marco Silva, because I was looking anxiously at that starting 11 that dropped an hour and 15 minutes before, and I'm saying, please be brave. Please do not go with a double pivot. Please don't do that. And guess what? Marco Silva not only didn't do that, he started Chukwueze, who I thought played very well in the first half, probably ran out of gas in the second half, but he pulled all the right strings. Playing King, Iwobi, and Berger together, it simply works. It really works. I think that is a good three to play in the middle. And then you have on the left, listen, Chukwueze's played most of his matches on the right, but he looks so good on the left. Then Harry Wilson on the right played well. I hope he is okay. They were talking about it while he was coming off that maybe he came off with a little bit of a knock. Hopefully that's nothing serious, but who can really knock the effort from someone like him, Chikwueze? Every player played their role in this match. They totally did. This was a team victory. This is not about one player. I will give a man of the match at some point during the show. And just so you know that this episode, the podcast version, is going to be exclusive on the Cottage Talk Patreon page. But I'm streaming live right now on YouTube, on the Russ_Goldman X account, and on the Cottage Talk Facebook account. And I just want to thank everyone that is joining me live after this match. Just thank you for probably you just want to hear some commentary on a victory that if you put on TalkSport, you put on another radio station, you're going to hear all the crap about Spurs. You're going to hear all of Thomas Frank, the players, all of that. I don't give two craps about them. This is about Fulham. This was about Marco Silva setting Fulham up for victory and not for the draw. That was going to be my question. That's exactly what he did. I will also say his substitutions all worked really well in the second half. I even liked bringing on Castagna in the end. I thought that worked. Everything that he pulled worked. So I know I've been critical of him not having a plan B. I've said this time and time again. But I've never criticized Marco for not having a good game plan with his coaching staff. They did. He did set the team up for victory, and it worked. And he deserves a ton of credit. But you know what? The players have to execute, and they certainly did, and they all deserve credit as well. And listen, I want to mention one more time, just thank you for everyone that is here watching live. And, we have several comments. This is from my friend. He goes, Marco was brave. Let's see. And so many people wanted Silva fired. What do they say now? Now, Dean, listen, I've actually was leaning in that direction, but I will tell you that I'm still feeling that Fulham need to see it out with Marco. And if he's going to continue to take this stance and not sign a contract, they have to have another manager in place for next season. But for this season, I'm now all about Marco being there. Hopefully he will stay with Fulham Football Club. But yes, there are people saying Silva should be fired. And I'm not going to lie, I was stirring the pot because I don't like the fact that he has not signed his contract. I don't like the fact that he doesn't really change things up. But I will give him full credit when he deserves it. He deserves it here. He pantsed Thomas Frank. He owns Thomas Frank. So for me, huge, huge victory. And please keep the comments coming. And I won't be going too long, but I just very huge victory, my friend Chris's. Great win for Fulham tonight. Yep, 13 years since win away at Spurs. Yes, thank you, Dean, for sharing that. And again, please keep them coming. This is from Chris Mullings. Great result, well-deserved, but I could see the Tottenham goal coming and felt the subs could have been a bit earlier before the goal as everyone was coming at us. It's a fair criticism, but you know what? They won the game, and I can understand that, but I'm just happy they won the game. Can you quibble about when he made the substitutions? Sure you can, but I'll take all 3 points. Chuck was outstanding and deserved the start and should continue to start. And that was also from Chris Mullins. Let's see. We have this comment. Real breathing space now against the bottom 3. Absolutely. Let's see. Chris also adds, Marco celebrated well at the end with the players and fans. There's definitely still the passion there for the club. Listen, Chris, I hope you're right. I think that you are right. And again, I never said he did not love the club. I just said that I'm just thinking that potentially why hasn't he signed a contract? And I think he's playing it the way he's playing it. If I was in his shoes, maybe I would do the same, but I'm a Fulham supporter. And I think not signing the contract has been an issue. But in the end, listen, he can shut me up because they had this huge victory against Spurs, and they've played well against some of the bigger clubs. Obviously we could talk about Chelsea and that mess. So it's not like the performances have been terrible except for the Everton match. They've been good. But Marco deserves a lot of the credit here. That's why, as I had in my keys to victory, my number one was Marco won the coaching battle. He needed to win it. That was my number one key to victory. He got it right. So let's start real quick. I won't go too long with my first half analysis. And honestly, when you score 2 goals early, it really is about that. But it was the intent. Fulham wanted to really get at Spurs. And I know it's a deflection, but it's a goal from Kenny Tete, and that starts the platform. And it didn't stop there. The way Fulham were playing was the same way the entire half. The confidence, and then it just grew when they forced really a very bad error from the goalkeeper. And then you have Harry Wilson put it in the back of the net, and Fulham were flying. I think after 9 minutes, we're up 2-0. My only concern, I've seen this too many times, did Fulham score too early? I've seen that. I've seen that too many times. But then it became about seeing the match out and potentially getting the third goal. And that's what that first half was about. It wasn't like they were sitting on this 2-0 lead. I already mentioned Chukwueze offered a lot going down the left and had 2 wonderful opportunities to get that third goal. Hits the post, goes one-on-one. Van de Ven just makes a great tackle. If not, there's a goal. It could have been 4. That's how good Fulham were in the first half. And I ask you this, if you watched the match and if you're a Spurs supporter, what did you offer in the first half? You offered nothing. Nothing. And that comes down to how Fulham played. It was played in Fulham's tempo. The way Fulham wanted this match played is how it went, especially in that first half. The second half, you got a reaction and Spurs reacted. But how the match began, how the match played out in the first half was dictated by Fulham Football Club, not by Tottenham Hotspur. They were struggling to even create any opportunity. And again, credit to all the players for making that happen. Just a wonderful effort. Just wonderful. Let's see. This is from Chris Mullings. Again, first half was the strongest I've seen us play away this season. Should have been 4-5 up. Totally agree. This is from Dean Monroe. We were set up quite narrow at times with Chuck and Wilson on the inside. That blocked up the midfield and forced Spurs wide and wasting passes. Great point, and that's exactly how it all played out. And this is an interesting one, and Chris, I'm glad that you are sharing this. Zhao was missing for most of the game. Not the player I was expecting to turn up against us today. It's funny because when I was looking at the match, even though I'm a huge Zhao Polina fan, I think he's one of the best players I've seen put on a Fulham shirt. But I had a feeling that Marco and the players would have something in store for him and nullify him out of the match. And I think part of playing that 3 really nullified Zhao Polina. He didn't offer really anything. So just great stuff. Just wonderful stuff. This is interesting. Second half, yes, Gary, Raul was most pointless yellow card award. That's funny stuff. But listen, to go ahead 2-0 and see the half out 2-0, you would think that I would feel pretty good, feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable because I knew that there would be a response. I was actually a little bit disappointed that they were not up by more. But I will take this 2-0 lead, and then we go to the second half. And as Gary says, yes, Gary, it was a scary watch, but you had to expect that. No matter how well Fulham played in that first half, you had to expect a response. And what's interesting, and I'm glad that the announcers mentioned this, the ones that I was watching with NBC, when Cottage scored the goal, yes, they were being more on top, but they weren't really dominating the play. In fact, they used the words, not mine, that it was against the run of play. I don't know if it was against the run of play, but they weren't dominating the play. They came out strong, but still, Fulham looked under control. But once they scored that goal, Tottenham, everything really changed. The crowd got into it. Now it was see this match out. And that's what you saw from Fulham Football Club. They did enough to get all 3 points. It's not about style points. It's about getting the victory. That to me is the bottom line. Yeah, and I'm glad that Dean mentioned this. It was their first shot on target, their goal. And then, of course, then they created other opportunities after that. And again, expected. But good teams find ways to win. And I know where Fulham are on the table, but they are a good team with good players. Can they be better than I want them to be? I hope so, because I want a team fighting for Europe. I don't know if this team's going to be able to fight for Europe, but I think they will be a mid-table side. And I'm just going to enjoy these types of victories because, like I said, 13 years, and that to me is a long time not to win there. So to win there is massive. Yes, different stadium, that was White Hart Lane, but to win at this one, it's a big deal, and it's a huge victory. Okay, so if you're watching live, who is your man of the match? I'm curious who would be your man of the match, because I'm trying to think about who would be man of the match, and it's an interesting thought because, it's funny. I do a show, View from the Hammersmith end, and one of my co-hosts refuses to really give a man of the match because he talks about it being a team game. It should be a team man of the match, and I understand that. Okay, I get that. My friend Kamal, he likes to say, well, it goes to the team. So I'm getting these comments, and there are a lot of interesting ones. So from Chris Mullings, he's going with Chikwueze. I definitely understand that. Gary Cooper, this is a tempting one for me. Silva, his tactics were spot on, and Chris Mullings also wanted to mention contender being Anderson. Like I said, I think when you look at the players there, you just want to give the whole team credit. You really do. And my first thought, like Chris, was Chikwueze. But I'm going to say it right now. And before I do, if you got some men of the matches, please share them with me. I've got this one for Tete. But as one that has been a critic of how Marco Silva has handled this year with his contract and doesn't really change how he plays, doesn't make in-match, like really tactical changes, I'm going to give man of the match to Marco Silva. Okay, I'm giving it to Marco Silva. That's my man of the match. No, Gary, it's not Andreas Pereira. I'm glad that he's gone. Dean Monroe also says, Bergen might have looked anonymous, but he put a shift in and broke up Spurs movement. I would totally agree with that. So my man of the match is Marco Silva. And that's how I'm going to end this episode. But listen, I just want to thank everyone that has watched live. Like I mentioned, the podcast version of this is exclusive on my Patreon page. So you can watch this back. If you'd like to be a member on the Cottage Talk Patreon page, please go to patreon.com and look up Cottage Talk. Love to have you join us. I do exclusive episodes there, and the podcast version is going to be there. So if you want to listen back, you're going to have to join the Patreon page. And it's priced, it's very affordably priced. I'll just leave it at that. So please do check that out. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. I will be back with a post-match show, but I just want to say thank you, everyone, for listening. My name's Russ Coleman. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.